Every once in a while when I'm driving down the highway or pass by the gas station and I see the Mega Millions or Powerball jackpot creeping up to $500 million, I think to myself, maybe I should buy a ticket. Boy, what good could I do with 500 million? Boy, even after taxes, it's still like 270 or something like that. It would be incredible, and I'll, set up, an endowment, and we're gonna have free tuition for our kids. We're gonna have, the nicest of things for worship. We're gonna, nobody's gonna be hungry in this community. Nobody's gonna be hungry in many other communities, and I'm gonna have that property in the south of France and Arizona and. A hunting property in southern Ohio too. Whoops, whoops. It's amazing. Like, I actually think about this a little bit. I really do. And I come back to this point of like, where do you stop? Where's the divide? It's like if you had all of that money, right? If you had all that money, and even if you were trying to do the right things with it, how do you not keep something back for yourself? And more importantly, how do you not, even from, like think about what the things that I'm thinking about. Free tuition, taking care of families in need, providing proper housing, right? Think about this. If I've got $270 million to work with, right? Who am I relying on to fix those problems? Me, right? And ultimately, the fact is, I can't resolve every problem in the world. And I can't fix every problem in the world. And I definitely can't fix the biggest problem of all, and that's our need to be saved by the Lord. And at the heart of it is just that point. And so as I think through these things every once in a while, I ultimately come back to the fact that it's better for me not to buy the ticket, no matter how much good I would do, right? Because ultimately, would not be relying on the Lord in those situations. Ultimately, that same sort of issue is in the heart of the young man who comes to Jesus, wanting to rely on his own merits to get to heaven. But as Jesus opens up how difficult it is for the wealthy to enter the kingdom of heaven, it's in their hearts as well. Jesus says it's impossible for those who have wealth to enter the kingdom of heaven. But nothing is impossible for God. So even though it's as hard as a camel passing through the eye of a needle, like really think about that. Like that literally is impossible, right? Even though it's impossible, the Lord can make it happen. Now there's two images that go along with the eye of the needle, and maybe some of you have heard both of them. One is that Jesus is speaking literally, an actual camel and the eye of a needle, right? But going back to the time of St. Ambrose, there's another image that is used to understand the camel going through the eye of the needle. And that's the idea, whether it's true or not, we don't actually know, but the idea was there was a short gate to get into the old city of Jerusalem, and it was called the eye of the needle. And a camel, in order to get through, would have to shed itself of all of the goods that it was carrying and get down on its knees in order to pass under the gate. And I think really in the grand scheme of things, both images are really helpful for us, to recognize that for any of us, right, we can't attain our salvation on our own. We can't earn our salvation. It is impossible for me on my merits to get to heaven. But for God, nothing is impossible. And it is by His grace and His free gift that we are given the promise and the hope of eternal life. But still, in the same way that camel has to shed the goods of the world in order to pass through the gate, so as we come before the Lord and desire to enter into heaven, we have to shed the things that we carry in our lives. And most importantly, we need to shed our dependence on wealth, but anything else as well. It's like Jesus highlights the idea of wealth here today, and certainly, as I mentioned, there are so many good things you can do with wealth. Like buy something in the French Riviera or something, But there are so many good things you can do with wealth, but we have to shed our dependence on it and other things, right? And we do so as we give as we give ourselves away, and we give more and more of all of our lives away, letting go of our dependence on anything that is not of the Lord. So yes, Jesus highlights the wealthy in this passage, but really his lesson is for all of us, that we need to grow in greater dependence on the Lord and maybe even other people to help us get to that point. Just as we cannot attain eternal life on our own, so we really can't get through this life well on our own. And maybe something that we need to do is just to learn to reach out and ask for help, or draw others into whatever we're working on, that we might rely on someone else. Something so simple. But I think in the depths of our heart too, as Jesus invites us, whether we have wealth or not, if I have it, am I depending on it? Am I attached to it? Or can I freely give it where it's needed? And if I don't have wealth, what is my heart longing for? Do I really think that I can satisfy that hunger in my heart by having the wealth to buy comforts and whatever else, and security and whatever I think practically is going to solve that longing in my heart? The answer is nothing is going to, besides the Lord himself. And at the end of the passage, this is where we're just we have a need for increased faith, right? To believe in his promise that no matter what we give up, no matter what we give up, no matter what we leave behind, he's going to return something so much greater. I mean, think about it. Practically speaking, there's nobody who's going to give up their house and not get back 100 more. I don't think you're going to have 100 houses in heaven, right? But just think about how he's describing the multiplication of the blessings in your life. Some of that here in this world, in our relationship with him and the peace that he brings us. But ultimately, in eternal life, the promise that God makes to us is going to be so far greater than anything we experience here, right? So much greater than anything we can even imagine. And so to allow the Lord today to give him permission to change our hearts and believe in the promise that he has made for us. The Lord isn't condemning anyone in the passage today, but really inviting all of us to a deeper faith in him and trust that God really does provide for all that we truly need. And so as we continue in our relationship with him and look forward in hope to eternal life, to shed our dependence on ourselves and the things of this world, and ultimately to grow in faith in the promises that he has made to us.